Hey babes, welcome back for another Detox Your Closet episode. Today we are talking labels. And no, I am not talking designer labels. We are talking about the labels that are inside your garment that are going to tell you or give you the real story about how your garment was made, what it's actually made of. And so by the end of this video, I want to make sure you have a good understanding of how to read a label, what we're looking for on that label, and like I said, some of those greenwashing tactics to avoid, and you are going to be a pro at this when we finish. Now, before we get into that, make sure you like this video, make sure you are subscribed, and if you are new here, if you are new to this series, make sure you start at the beginning. Now, this episode you can watch without the context of the other episodes, but I still recommend that you go back and start at episode 1 and just go through the whole series because there are some follow along components here. And so it's just going to be a lot better. It's going to make for a lot better experience if you actually start from the first video because we're kind of going in order here. So now this episode, like I said, you can watch this alone and then come back. I'll link the series at the end of this video. Also, stay tuned to the end of this video because I am going to do a nice little thing you can screenshot that you can take with you for when you are shopping in store. Now, we're going to start first. If you don't get anything else from this video, get this list of the 5 fabrics that you need to be on the lookout for when you are starting to shop more sustainably, when you are trying to buy healthier clothing. And this list is going to include organic cotton, wool, silk, linen, and hemp. Now, these 5 fabrics, you really can't go wrong with these. You can't miss with these. But I do want to note here that I did say organic cotton and not just cotton. And that is because, unfortunately, cotton or conventional cotton is sprayed heavily with pesticides. So that makes it a little less eco-friendly because, it's a little bit harder on the environment, as well as we don't really know how much of those pesticides actually end up in our bodies, throughout how much of that pesticide survives throughout the manufacturing process and the first wash and dyeing and all that. We just don't know. So that is something to keep in mind when you are shopping more sustainably. Now, there are a couple other fabrics that could also work well if you're trying to shop more sustainably, and those are lyocell, tencel, and modal. Now, these 3 fabrics are technically, they're kind of natural, kind of, sort of. In fact, when I was doing research on this, they're considered semi-naturals. And that is because these fabrics come from cellulose, which is made from a wood pulp. However, during the manufacturing process, there is a chemical that's added to them to process them, to make them pliable and suitable for making clothing. Now, personally, I avoid these fabrics. I don't think I own anything with these fabrics. And my suggestion for you would be deciding what is your top priority in this process. And I think I kind of talked about this in another one of the earlier videos. So for me, my priority is my health. That is my real reason for doing this. While I care about the environment and all of that stuff, my primary goal is improving my health and doing what's healthiest for my body first and foremost. So for me, I avoid these fabrics, or they're just not on my radar really. But if you are more concerned about what is eco-friendly, these fabrics might be suitable for you and might be okay for you, and that is okay. You get to decide, you get to make your own rules. And again, I talk about this in a previous video. I go more into detail about making your rules, right? So those fabrics are fabrics that, maybe okay, you can add. Now, the fabrics that we really want to avoid are going to be, or that we want to watch out for, the most common ones are polyester, acrylic. What's another one? Polyester, acrylic, large amounts of elastane, and another one that I've been seeing pop up a lot is what is it called? Polyamide. I've been seeing that on labels a lot. So not even sure what that is. I feel like it's just been fairly recently that I've been seeing so much of this fabric. And I think I've even seen one called acrylamide too. So those have been popping up, but you do want to try to avoid those fabrics as much as possible because those are going to typically be made with more chemicals. Those are also going to be more likely to shed microplastics. So just keep that in mind. I do feel like the demand for more natural fabrics, better manufacturing is growing. I feel like it's grown quite a bit since I went to school for fashion. So now I feel like it's becoming actually more of a mainstream thing, which I really love and appreciate. However, the issue with that is now some brands who aren't necessarily ethical are kind of sort of greenwashing when it comes to choosing these fabrics. And when I'm shopping online, I will see product names that have the natural fabric in the product name. So in the main name, it'll say linen short set, right? But then when you scroll down and you look at the description, which I always recommend that you do, always look at the description when you are shopping online. When you actually look at the description, it'll only be 30% linen, or it'll be like 30% linen, 70% polyester. So this is something that I've been seeing a lot when I'm shopping online. In store, I have seen companies like H&M, they'll do this thing where they'll put, you know, recycled cotton on the it'll be like a tag that's more noticeable. So that's going to catch your attention first. And it'll say recycled cotton. But then when you go on the inside of the garment and actually look at it, again, 40% cotton and some in polyamide or acrylic or something. So just be mindful of that, and always, always, always make sure you are actually either reading the product fabrication when you are shopping on the online, or when you're in store, make sure you're going inside of these garments. Look for that tag. They in shirts, they are usually on the side. In pants, they are usually in the back, where your like sizing tag and stuff is. Sometimes they'll be there. Sometimes you got to search for these tags a little bit, but trust me, look at the tag. Don't just look at the hang tag that's on the garment, because normally the hang tag is actually sometimes part of the marketing of the item. Another thing that I see brands do is maybe they'll say eco-conscious, or they will say natural. We use natural fibers. We are eco-conscious. They just use very vague language. And I will tell you this, brands that are more ethical are going to be very upfront with you about their fabric sourcing and manufacturing and all that stuff. And a lot of these brands will have certifications. Brands that are serious about this typically have certifications, and a lot of these certifications are not really that easy to get. I'm going to go through some of those certifications to look for. The main one that I see a lot, especially for brands that say they use organic cotton, is the GOTS certification. What that means is at least 70% of the fibers are organic fibers. They are also very concerned with the supply chain. They are very concerned with the environmental impact of these garments and the manufacturing process. So this is going to be one of your more stringent certifications. The next one is Okotex. I think I said that right. Okotex. So Okotex means that the fabrics they're using, and even throughout the manufacturing process, these items are free from over 1,000 harmful or toxic substances. So this is another important one. Again, if you are someone like me who is very concerned about your clothing having pesticides and different chemicals and how it's manufactured, the Okotex one is going to be a very important certification for you. The next certification is Fair Trade. Now, the fair trade certifications are more so about the work conditions of the people who are producing your clothing. So think no sweatshops, no places where people are getting paid elite, or people are getting paid outrageously low wages, things like that. It's more so about the people that are producing your items, or even the where your items are sourced from. So if social impact is really important to you, this is going to be another certification that calls that out. Now, my last certification that's kind of important, but I really don't see it as much on clothing. I wouldn't say it's necessarily important because I think the other certifications kind of cover some of the things included in this one, but some brands are certified B Corps, and that just means that they've met some of the strictest standards when it comes to production, when it comes to sourcing. They actually have to get a certain score from the company that does the B Corp. They have to have a certain score and they have to get recertified every 3 years. So, again, this is something to look for. I wouldn't say that this one is as important just because the other three certifications kind of cover some of what's included in the B Corp in the B Corp certification. Here are a few tips to get you on your way, to get you going. The first one is always check your fiber content and make sure you do this on the actual garment, not the hang tag, on the actual garment. Also, if you're shopping online, you can do this in the actual, it'll usually say fabrication or fabric content or something like that. Make sure you look for that. Don't just trust the product name. The next thing is, if you're going to buy blends, try to buy 2 natural blends. If that's not working for you or that's not available to you, just try to make sure that the highest content is a natural fabric. 70% or more is a good starting point to make sure that it is at least 70% a natural fiber. And the last thing is, if you are going to buy a synthetic for whatever reason, because sometimes it's just what works. If you do need to buy a synthetic, try to look for something that is recycled and just simply wash it in a microplastic filter bag. Try to wash it in a microplastic filter bag. If you're, again, like me, worried about the microplastics in your clothing. So those are my top tips for reading labels. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments if you did. Also, here is a little cheat sheet, you can call it, that you can screenshot. Take this with you when you are shopping. If you forget what fabrics to look for, like I said, the first thing that I said was the most important thing. And so I just put it here at the end so that you'll be able to have something that you can just take along with you. But thank you so much for watching. And I'm going to include the other episodes in these series here so that you can play catch up.